The Philadelphia Eagles head into this weekend knowing they won't be at full strength. Not by accident, not because of some last-minute surprise, but by choice. And when a team accepts playing a game of this magnitude, knowing that two important names won't be on the field, it completely changes how you read what's happening behind the scenes. Because one absence already forces adjustments. Two absences force decision. And the most important part here isn't just who's out, but why the team accepted this situation right now in late December, with January staring them in the face. This isn't negligent, it's calculation, and every calculation carries risk. The Eagles' final injury report, released ahead of the trip to Buffalo, doesn't feel like an emergency document. It feels like strategy. A strategy that involves holding back certain pieces, accelerating others, and trusting that the right balance has been found. The real question is whether that balance will hold once the game kicks off. One of the names ruled out was already expected by anyone who's been following the week closely. For the second straight week, there was hope. There was quiet optimism. That familiar feeling that maybe at the very least he'd get back on the practice field. But once again, it didn't happen. No participation, no real progress. And in the end, the Eagles made the call. Lane Johnson is out again, and that decision says far more about January than it does about Sunday. Lane Johnson isn't just a right tackle. He's stability, he's quiet leadership, he's the foundation that keeps the entire offensive system from constantly improvising. Forcing him back now in a physical road game against an aggressive opponent could mean jeopardizing something much. Everything points to the Eagles choosing patience, holding him back, thinking long-term. In the meantime, Fred Johnson will continue to start at right tackle. It's not the ideal scenario, but it's the one the team has accepted, a calculated risk in their eye. But Lane Johnson isn't the only significant name on this final report. There's a second player ruled out, a name that might not create the same immediate buzz as a star tackle, but one that directly impacts communication, alignment, and defensive read, a name whose absence changes how the system functions. Nakobe Dean is also out. Dean didn't practice at all this week after suffering a hamstring injury in the win over the Washington Commanders. And once again, the team's message is clear. There's no urgency here, not in December, not with a muscle injury. The Eagles chose not to take the risk. In his place, Jihad Campbell will start next to Zach Bond. This will be Campbell's first start since Week 8, back in October. That's a major responsibility, especially in a game of this magnitude on the road. But the team believes he can hold the position without breaking the defensive structure. That confidence isn't just about talent, it's strategic. It's another example of the Eagles carefully choosing where to spend their chips. There's also one name listed as questionable, Cameron Williams. The young offensive tackle is within his 21-day practice window to return from injured reserve. But all signs point to the team not being in a hurry to activate him. Even with injuries along the offensive line, the Eagles seem comfortable waiting for the right moment rather than forcing a return out of immediate need. Now, on the other side of the report, comes the part that brings some relief to the fanbase. A.J. Brown is cleared to play. After missing mid-week practices due to an oral procedure, he returned as a full participant on Friday. Landon Dickerson also returned after dealing with an illness. Devonta Smith is ready. Zach Bond is ready. Jihad Campbell is ready. Fred Johnson is ready. And maybe the most anticipated name of all, Jalen Carter is ready. Carter returns after missing the Eagles' last 3 games. And this decision is anything but simple. The Eagles could have held him out another week. They could have focused strictly on the postseason, but they chose to bring him back now. Why? Because the team wants to win this weekend, because they believe Carter needs to get back into game shape, because too long of a layoff can be just as harmful as playing while limited, and because the Eagles' defense simply isn't the same when he's not on the field. Even at less than 100%, Carter changes how offenses attack. He alters blocking scheme, he forces adjustment, he brings life back to interior pressure. This is a clear bet, a calculated one, but still a bet. And when you look across the field, it becomes clear that the Buffalo Bills are also entering this game banged up. Josh Allen has no final injury designation. He practiced fully on Friday and is expected to play, but he spent much of the week dealing with a foot issue. The question isn't whether he suits up, it's how he moves once he's out there. And even the slightest limitation can change everything. Buffalo ruled out 4 key players. Daquan Jones, a core piece of the defensive line. Jordan Phillips, an important interior rotation player. Jordan Poyer, a veteran safety and leader in the secondary. And kicker Matt Prater. The absence of Jones and Phillips further weakens an area that was already a problem for the Bills. Run defense. Even when healthy, they struggle to stop the run. Now, with the interior of the defensive line depleted, that challenge becomes even bigger. Poyer's absence also mattered. He was injured in Week 16 and won't play. With Taylor Rapp already on injured reserve, there's no clear, established option to pair with Cole Bishop at safety. The depth on the back end will be tested. Then there's the tight end situation. Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox are both listed as questionable. They missed practices earlier in the week, were limited on Friday, and their availability won't be known until inactives are announced Sunday afternoon. That's huge for the Bills' offense. They rely heavily on multiple tight end sets, especially because their wide receiver group is thin. Kincaid and Knox rank second and third on the team in receiving yard, behind only Khalil Shakir. If one of them, or worse, both are unavailable, an entire layer of the playbook disappears. And as if that weren't enough, the kicker position is also uncertain. With Prater out, the Bills may once again turn to Michael Badgley, who has already shown inconsistent. It creates a rare scenario where the Eagles might not be the only team entering this game with concerns at kicker. When you put all of this together, the picture becomes clear. This game isn't just Eagles versus Bills. It's roster management versus physical wear. It's calculated risk versus immediate need. It's December, taking its toll on both sides. The Eagles enter without Lane Johnson and Nakobe Dean, but with Jalen Carter back in the lineup. The Bills enter without key defensive pieces and with serious questions on offense. Neither team is whole. Neither team is comfortable. And that's what makes this matchup so unpredictable. This final injury report makes one thing very clear. The Eagles are choosing where to hold back, where to take chances, and where to trust their depth. They're trying to win now without compromising what comes next. The question is whether that balance will survive once the game turns truly physical. And before we wrap up, here's the question that really divides the fan base and deserves serious discussion. Are the Eagles being smart by holding players like Lane Johnson for the playoff? Or are they risking paying too high a price right now for decisions that could cost them an important win? If you want to keep hearing in-depth analysis made for fans who truly follow and understand where this team is right now, drop a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. That support helps the channel grow, strengthens the community, and keeps this space alive for fans who live and breathe Philadelphia Eagles football every single day.